We're here. Can you believe it? NBL 22 regular season done and dusted, and we're about to go next level. Only 4 teams remain after the most extraordinary weekend of NBL hoops. This, wherever you might be around the country, is NBL Overtime. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. There is so much going on, but we've got something big off the top. Homicide predicted Tasmania would win 14 games. They did even better. They made the playoffs, and he said Perth would miss. So because he's been right for maybe the first time ever, we gave him his show off and brought in Pete Hooley. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good to be here. I mean, what a story.
Unbelievable.
One of the, if not the craziest final round in NBL ever, and we've got the JackJumpers here. To be fair, Corey was wrong. He said 14, they won 17.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
He was wrong, but wow, unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
NBL.com.au via the NBL app, wherever you get all your NBL content, studs and duds. Is out the best broadcaster in the game, Liam Santamaria. Hello.
Hello, mate. Yeah, you're right. Crazy last round. The fact that it went down to the last game was beautiful. The fact that went to overtime and just kept everybody hanging. Historic finish to the season, a lot to unpack.
Let's get into it because it was a remarkable situation. And while in the recent years we've got down to the last weekend and mostly the last day, the actual last game, I can't remember having this much drama because the Wildcats and that incredible streak we'll talk about shortly, and then you have a team in their first ever franchise sitting in a living room in Tasmania, crowded around ESPN, praying that a result went their way. And something that I think we didn't even speak a great deal about, mainly because of what it all meant. This was an exceptional game of basketball.
Yeah, it was. And a really good performance from the Phoenix. You know, at the end of what had been a frustrating season, to come out and play at this high level was pretty impressive to finish things off. But I just always felt like the Wildcats were going to get it. You know, the weight of the streak and all of that history and Bryce Cotton and the Red Army, and you just thought, all right, well, when push comes to shove, they're going to make the plays and get over the line. And Kyle Adams said, no, I don't think so. I'm just going to keep raining triples and we're going to take this in overtime. And then I was left with really mixed feelings at the end of the game. I felt great for the JackJumpers and that incredible story, but I felt hollow with the streak ending, and I felt hollow for Bryce and the Army and all that was involved in that historic franchise. So it was an amazing finish to the season.
They had their chances in this game. We're talking about all season long. You go back and they're going to be ruining those missed opportunities. I mean, they lost to Adelaide convincingly on their home floor. They lost to Tassie as well earlier a few weeks ago. But in this game alone, especially down the stretch, wide open looks that they missed. And I'm sure anyone from the Red Army, anyone in Australian basketball thinking, look, if Bryce Cotton has a shot to send us to overtime, to even win, you just thought it was written that they would either go to double overtime or that he would send them into the finals on his own back. Had a tough night shooting the Roth, but that was it right there. I thought he was going to pull up for 3, just say, look, I'm going to live or die by it. They defended him pretty well. They were tough. And yeah, I was with you. I'm so excited for the JackJumpers, the story. But the streak, it was nothing like we've ever seen. And just for the way it ended. But overtime games bookending the NBL season, both heavily involving the JackJumpers, one without them even playing. You can't write a script like this.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. It is a weird feeling because for the first time in almost in our lives, and you're a little younger than us, but in our lives of watching and liking basketball, the Perth Wildcats aren't in the playoffs. Like it does feel weird, but it also is tempered by the fact that JackJumpers made the playoffs, which we'll get to in a moment. But look, a 35-year streak. I like what Ricky Gray said last night on Channel 10 News in Perth. 35 out of 36 ain't bad. I like the glass full that the legend has as well. But the thing about this is, right, and I know how frustrated and how disappointed the Red Army is as fans and, of course, the management and the coach and all the players. They actually had a really good year. They won 16 games, which almost every other year gets into the playoffs.
Yep.
They spent 2 months on the road. The weird thing about it is they went home in second place. That's the thing that I have been trying to process in the last sort of 24, 36 hours, because when they went back to the West after being such road warriors for 2 months out of the state, we just assumed they would get going. And the intensity they had on the road, for whatever reason, wasn't matched at home.
Yeah, they went home and exhaled.
Yeah.
It's like school teachers always get sick at the start of the school holidays. because they've been pushing through. They've kept their nose to the grindstone. That's what the Wildcats did on the road when they went 9-5 after a 4-1 start at home. And then they went home and, like we all felt, clearly they took the foot off the pedal as well and thought that the job would just get done. And then it was a slide away from there. So remarkable way for it to pan out. But as you say, 16 wins, first time a team's missed the playoffs with 16 wins. And they made the playoffs when there was an expanded playoff system with worse records than this. So, you know, everyone calling for the coach's head and everything went wrong. No, a lot went right, just couldn't close it out.
Yeah, it's an interesting one of going home, as you mentioned. That was the one thing that I would struggle to understand. A lot of people thinking, look, maybe they have finished top. I think everybody thought, oh, they go home 9 home games. But you're right. They went home, the exhale of, OK, we're home now. We saw this with Illawarra. They struggled really badly in the first half of the season. Went on the road where you have to face your challenges head on. You can't hide from them. You watch more film, you're in a hotel room, you just come together, you overcome the challenges. They went home, whether that's just more time just being at home with family, you're just away from the game a little bit more, you feel more comfortable. They only beat New Zealand and Cairns in that home stance. So they had plenty of opportunities to get there. And I'm with you. I think the overreaction as the emotions would be there from everybody that they missed out. Bit uncalled for. I think they'll definitely come back with a vengeance next year.
There's also, though, the reality that they missed, and you got to look at why that is. And we flagged from very early on in the season, this roster wasn't built to win a championship, not in the NBL. And they realised that late in the piece, which is why they tried to bring John Brown III in. They missed some strength and some force on the interior. And they made that final decision at the end of putting their roster together. When we all thought they were going to get an import big, they went for another wing. And it was unnecessary. They didn't need to do that. And I think, you know, it came home to roost in the back end of the season that they didn't have that guy.
Just on that, big shout out to Michael Frazier, who was really good on the weekend. And so much talk, and understandably so for the exact reason that Liam just spoke about. But he was really good on the weekend and did everything he could possibly do to make sure they made the playoffs.
He was, but they were giving up layups. Yeah. They didn't have that defensive force in the paint to get the crucial stops that would have got them into the postseason.
All right, and before that, we had Illawarra and Sydney going at each other to find out who gets home court advantage. Woo! And this was a great game. It was weird in the first half. Illawarra just put them to absolute sword. Justinian Jessup's first quarter was outstanding. But then all of a sudden, Sydney, without Jalen Adams, we'll get to that in a moment, just got hot and had an opportunity, Pete Hawley, to steal it. But in the end, Illawarra win it, and now they had home court advantage going into the playoffs.
Well, you said weird in the first half. Liam and I called this game in a while. Some of the rotations from the Kings, we were just like, well, what's going on here? But look, this game could have gone any which way. I mean, we're talking like a few centimetres out of Ian Clark's foot, and he knocked down the three, which always makes that worse. Jarrell Martin played limited minutes.
Centimetres out. He was in the second.
he was a long way out. But this is epic, and this is going to end up being potentially a 5-game series over 2 weeks. I mean, they played each other last weekend in a classic, and then this one come down to the last shot. The crowd is going to be epic. At both these venues, this place, there will be fireworks. There will be something, a little bit of push and shove back and forth. Was it after the game or was it after the game? There was a little bit of extracurricular. A few words said. Rattan May's getting in there. I'm sure Cleveland was involved. He loves getting in there. Xavier Cooks was massive. Now, we talk about guys who can really take over a game and swing a game on their own. He did that in the second half.
Legit rivalry. Best rivalry we have in the league right now. And the fact that they're going to play off in the finals is just sensational. We've had a couple of extra little tastes of it. That was the play there. Look, just would have won the game. Remarkably, it would have won the game if he hadn't stepped out of bounds. But it's just incredible that they're going to meet in the... This is what we wanted. From about halfway through the year, we saw these two elite teams and we're like, let's make sure that they meet in the finals. And there you have it. Semi-final series tipping off on Friday night at the Wynn Entertainment Centre. And I said it over the weekend. Oh my God, the Hawkheads packed that place out.
They have to.
Has to be full. And it's not easy to do because all the members, what they're paid for is finished. Now everyone's got to buy new tickets. So that's why sometimes the crowds dip a little bit at the start of the playoffs. Has to be every seat in that arena full, cauldron-like atmosphere.
Now, game one on Friday, okay? Is Jalen Adams ready to go? Is he okay?
Game one would have been on Wednesday. if Sydney had won that game. And my understanding is maybe he wouldn't have been able to go. So
Well, hang on. Is he in health and safety protocols, is he?
they've said flu,
Okay.
non-COVID.
But either way, you're right. If he's not feeling the best and he's still not 100%, if they had played on Wednesday, even if he is, I'm going to get out there, he still hasn't had practice. He still hasn't get his wind back, hasn't get his touch right. So that might have been a tough ask for him to do. So now they get a couple extra days, and I mean they won. I know it was overtime, but they won on the floor. They won that game. They lost in overtime. Lost in overtime, but they know what they can do on the road. So I'm sure they'll back themselves to go and do that. They need Jalen Adams.
Hang on, I'm confused.
They won in Wollongong.
They won a
Yeah,
couple
that's right.
of
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They lost.
All right, so I'm still going to stick with Sydney, even though they haven't got home court advantage. If Jalen Adams is right to go, and I'm assuming he will be.
Yeah.
But if he's not, for whatever reason, it's the Illawarra team who have played by far their best. That's the best thing about both Illawarra and Sydney, their best basketball, and Tasmania, and Melbourne, to be fair, in the last couple of weeks, and they've got rolling again a little bit. Their best basketball's getting played right now, in particular, second, third and fourth. Who wins?
Sydney in 3.
I'm going with the Hawks.
Ooh.
I'm going with the Hawks. Jalen Adams has missed this little bit. He's the difference maker,
He
for
is.
sure, for me. But it has been a disrupted lead up into the postseason. And the Hawks are feeling themselves right now. They are rolling. Tyler Harvey and Justinian Jessup shooting the heck out of the ball. I love the balance. Brian Gorgon is playoff hardened in this league. I don't know. The Kings have been so good over the course of the second half of the season. Jalen Adams is an absolute game changer, but I'm going with the Hawks in 3.
Let's get to the JackJumpers, because not just for what happened on this particular weekend, but what has happened all year has been remarkable. We've spoken time and time again of how great they are. They play the reigning champions and the minor champions on Saturday night in front of a packed arena. Big shout out to all the Tasmanians who slid into my DMs and were offering to scalp me tickets. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to Tasmania. We spoke about it last week. But they did everything they had to do. And then they had the most nervous of wait, which was almost 24 hours. But in the end, this team, in their first ever year, are going to the playoffs. And I love it. It's a great story. It's a great story in Australian sport, not just NBL.
It's absolutely remarkable. One of the greatest stories in all of Tasmanian sport in all time. To come out and, as an expansion franchise, make the Final Four, unbelievable. And then to come out in this third quarter, hadn't really got the job done against a Melbourne team that was, for the most part, jogging up and down the floor, just playing, making sure they didn't get hurt. But they hadn't quite got over the hump in that first half, Tasmania, and grabbed control of the game. But they came out in this third quarter, and this shot from Majet blew the roof off My State Bank Arena. And it's a remarkable set of circumstances. The clock struck midnight hours ago, and Cinderella's still at the ball. Incredible what they've been able to do. And I don't know, is it over? Is it time to celebrate what Tasmania has achieved? What can they do in the playoffs? It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Well, these games are going to be epic because, yes, they got over the line against Melbourne United. As you said, they were coasting through that game. Dean Vickerman's done that back in 2018. If their spot's already sewn up, he's going to play the young guys extended minutes. He said that. And again, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because say you really want to go out there and win. No doubt they would have rather played Perth. I think everybody was saying that. You'd rather play Perth with no Vic Law. But if you go out there at full strength, CG or JLA hurts themselves, then you're in big trouble because everyone's thinking, all your fans are like, we've got top spots sewn up. Why are we going so hard? So either way, they're in probably a little bit of trouble. When you talk about the JackJumpers, now, will they win a game? Will they get 2 wins?
Will they?
If they hit 22 threes in a game. So if that happens again, they're a team that loves confidence. Their back's against the wall. Anything can happen. I think Melbourne might flex a little bit of muscle, but I wouldn't be surprised if they really come out. The whistle's supposed to go away in playoffs. These are two teams that love priding themselves on defense, physicality. So I think the other series is going to be a lot of offense. This series is going to be a nice little defensive grind. I'm looking forward to it.
We've spoken a lot about all the different things that Scott Roth's done really, really well this season. Building the culture and building a defense-first mentality and all of that. Building the offense over the course of the season. One of the great masterstrokes from him this season was the way he took the pressure off that team about making the finals. The last 20 games, they went 15-5. Remarkable. For teams like Southeast Melbourne and Perth, it was playoffs or bust. And as things got tighter in the second half of the year, that pressure meant that they got the yips. And it all got a bit too much for them and then they fell away. Whereas he did a great job of just saying, we're not talking about the playoffs. He kept them focused on today, on the next game, on the next play, and then the cards will fall as they may. And as a result, they just came out and played at a high level, game in, game out, without the weight of expectation. So really impressive. And he's going to do the same thing coming into this first round of the playoffs, which will give them a shot. Melbourne should take care of business. I think they'll win in two.
Now, credit to Scott Roth on that point, because you remember they had that opportunity to play Sydney on a Sunday afternoon. It was only about 3 weeks ago, and we were like, hang on. And Sydney just absolutely stomped them. But then they handled every single game that had to be after that. I don't think they handled that particular game all that well, but every other game that they had to win, including Saturday night, they handled perfectly. I say this with a great deal of trepidation, Pete, because I'm going to be courtside in my State Bank Arena.
Oh, here we go.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I was away last Saturday, watched it on TV, and I love history and I love being involved in environments. That's going to be Saturday night. I think Melbourne will sweep them. But I hope not. I hope that it goes to 3, because being in Melbourne, I'll go that one as well. But
playoff experience matters,
Yeah.
and that's Dean Vickerman has plenty of that. The players have plenty of that. Chris Golding, we talk about all those big time game players. So I think it's going to be tough for them. But you go back, they beat Brisbane, the JackJumpers, and Jack McVeigh, we interviewed him after the game, and we're like, you mathematically can still make it. Yeah. And he goes, well, I don't even think about that.
Yeah.
One game at a time, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
and here they are.
Yeah, I didn't believe that. I think, but I reckon Scott Roth is saying everything he's doing right. I think the players in their mind, as we got to the last couple of weeks, and all credit to them, were daring to believe, and so well they should have been.
Oh, you know what? I don't think so. He is a great leader of men.
Yeah,
what he is saying to the group is what they are then spewing out to everybody, because it's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And they've done an incredible job of it. And you know what? We're all picking here Melbourne to sweep this series. They wouldn't want it any other way.
For real.
The JackJumpers.
Agreed.
You know, everybody on the mainland except for Corey didn't believe in them all year long, and they proved us all wrong.
Lastly, is 17 wins enough for us to get JackJumpers cigar cutters? I wouldn't mind one of those for Scott Roth. He came out and said that that's what he does for his chills and celebratory cigars. So just get a little branded cigar cutter. I'll take one. I don't know about you guys. I'll get you one.
I'll certainly take one.
I'll get you one.
I've only had one cigar my whole entire life.
Well, you'd have one for the JackJumpers.
And that was after American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown at Belmont back in... We were
both there. We didn't even know each other.
All right. Hey, good news for Melbourne today. We're talking more about Tassie, but Melbourne, minor champions, and they've done it back-to-back. They were trying to defend their title, and their big man, Earl Hockporty, who is, I still believe, the biggest... Is he 20 now? Still the biggest 20-year-old in the world.
Yeah.
Biggest 19-year-old, however old he is officially. Anyway, he's recommitted to NBL 23 for Melbourne United, and you would think, based on what we watched at the start of the year to what we're watching now, that next year of development, he's going to go to a whole new level. He's fun to watch. He's energetic. It's contagious, his energy. The team feeds off it, and he'll be back in NBL 23.
Huge news. Massive for Melbourne United. I think the draft experts and the scouts have been sleeping on Hookporty. I actually think he's ready to go and get drafted this year, but he hasn't been appearing on those boards, so fair enough. He's been great for Melbourne United. They've been great for him, taking huge strides this season. So as a next star, to have him locked and loaded for next season, I think it's a cool decision for him. He's just going to continue to improve and then make the leap the year after, but it's massive for them in terms of the construction of their NBL 23 roster.
Well, will he be... All right, so if JLA ends up, say, in the NBA, okay? Will he be their starting 5-man next year?
It's an interesting one to think about. I mean, he's got to get his motor under him a bit more, but just the development from the start of the season to now has been beyond anyone's expectations, I think. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities to have him as their potential starter. Then you build the roster around him. I guess Jack White's going to be there. So it's a really exciting time. And I'm really impressed with the decision from him because he knows the development. They've taught him how to be a pro day in and day out. What he's learned, he's still got to grow into his body. It's exciting. He's going to be well and truly on the draft boards next year. I'm with you. I thought he could have got drafted this year for sure, but it's exciting for the league, but really exciting for him and Melbourne United.
All right, let's talk some New Zealand Breakers because we've spoken so much about what they've done the last 2 years, and I think everybody in our show, everyone's show, all the players, I've no doubt, when they shake hands after the end of games, they've been thanked, and so well they should be. 2 years on the road. We know how sucky it has been, not just for the Breakers, but for all New Zealand professional teams that have had to do this, and Australian-based teams at different points as well. But they've got to go home. It was great to see the social media, New Zealand Breakers social media the last couple of days. We're seeing the players get home and families and all the rest of it. So I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you to New Zealand in the most trying of circumstances. And the NBL, as much as it was tough in the last 2 years, the NBL was able to continue on with all the games and no integrity lost from playing a certain team's amount of times because of what they were able to do. So from the management to the head coach to every single player, thank you.
Yeah, no, well said. Unprecedented, unfathomable what they've had to deal with. Play every single game away from home and so many of them in an empty arena like this. I mean, just really, really tough to do. Now, they had a whole bunch of internet, like, it wasn't the entire team were kind of New Zealand guys with families, but a number of them were. Really, really difficult for them. But as a group, to spend all that time just in a hotel and no home games. Last year, even though they were out of the playoff picture, they at least got to have that homecoming tour and get around New Zealand and remind everybody back home about who they are. But they didn't get that chance this season. Worst win-loss record in franchise history. And that's just a result.
That's understandable.
A result of the circumstances. But as you say, Cam, massive thank you to them.
I was high on them at the start of the season because we expected them to go home. But just to think about, look, the second year, they were high on themselves at media day. They were like, we know what we're going to do for a little bit, then get home. Imagine to be up and about second year, like, all right, we're going home. Press conference, you're not going home.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how much more flattening that would be. They gave us some of the most exciting moments this season.
They did.
Basson in that empty arena going off. Gazy was in cardiac arrest. And then Wilmington had one of the dunks of the year.
Yeah.
We forget about how early that was.
That was game one.
It might have been game two. They played
Against Phoenix.
They played Phoenix back-to-back games.
They played back-to-back.
Okay, yep.
But two of the most exciting moments of the season, huge thank you to them. And no one will ever understand that for 2 years in a row. Like a Finn Delaney who's been there, and you said the hotel room, to be able to not go back and get away from basketball completely.
Yeah.
Yes, they have days off. Okay, we'll go golf, do whatever. You're still going back to a hotel room. You're still going to watch film. It's never the same of being in your own home, in your own bed.
But look, we've spoken about it. Minimum 19 home games next year. I've actually had two people, I tweeted the other day, two people hit me up and say, and they're of note in the NBL, say they should play every single home game next year. And it's
is that realistic?
Why isn't it? Is it realistic to have a team on the road for
No, it's not.
years?
No, it's not. But I think you're just compounding the problems there in terms of around the league, the commercial realities of that. Extra home games.
Big time.
Let's get a couple of teams maybe to sell what would be home games for them to the breakers. Get them.
All right. Give them 19 home games and they travel to every stadium once. I think we spoke about
I like that. If we can make that happen.
They've got to be able to. If they have 14 and 14 next year, they're the most stunned by franchise I've seen in recent times. All thanks to Amy. Let's get into it. Santa's watching. What do you got, Lee?
All right, we're going to start in Tassie with CJ Bruton, who, look at the dance move.
Did he shoot it? Oh, he did shoot it.
He did. He let it go. He let it fly, and it nearly went down.
He's been looking fly lately, by the way.
Speaking of letting it fly, Dom Perrottet did that as well.
I don't know if you can do that. You can't block the Premier.
Yeah.
Or you can do whatever you want if you're
He certainly did. He sent that packing. Fully wedged wedgie. Got to give that. I like the fact that a couple of attempts, and then the player Makua Maker at this point was like,
I'll go get it.
he was like, I'll give it a nah, actually. And then look at the ref. He's like, nah, you do it. You do it.
This is youth league. Here, someone throw the ball up there.
DJ's like, I'll do it. Give me a try. Still can't get it. Eventually, we get the ball.
Makua Maker doesn't have to jump.
He's Dane Pinot.
Are you happy?
He was pretty happy with the win in the jungle.
In Birkenstocks, that's actually really impressive. I will give him that. For a man with no rhythm, that's actually more impressive in Birkenstocks for Dane Pinot.
And I was going to put in my terrible work on the analysis board.
Would you stuff it up?
I didn't see it.
Oh, the arrows wouldn't do what they were supposed to do.
I'll give you some. They've finally switched the control panel.
Shook.
And I didn't get told the first time I used it. And I was like, hang on, I'm about to press just a random colour here rather than...
I was shook.
Better late than never. We'll be ready for go for finals.
Yeah.
Hey, just a big shout out to Nikiros, who we did see there. Took it real serious, the celebrity game in Sydney. No, I didn't see it. I only seen his mixtape that we've thrown up on the NBL socials. But he came ready to play. And that's all you ask from any athlete when they show up. Be ready to play.
You cannot have thought he was never going to take... He was going to 100% go all out. He's a huge basketball
I thought he was going to
fan.
throw a dunk there. From the one I did see, when he broke someone down and he gave a little finger roll, he should have tried to throw that
Caught a flat tyre.
Yeah. Hey, it's awards night. Well, it is tomorrow night at least. The Gazies, of which Andrew Gaze demanded we call it, is on tomorrow night. 6:30 on ESPN. Here we go. This is what we got. This is what the three of us have got. We're all with Adams. We're all with Roth. Defensive Player of the Year, Shea Ili. I've gone for Xavier Cooks. We've all got the same Rookie of the Year, Most Improved the same, and Best Six.
All right, so let's talk Best Defensive Player, Cam, and then we'll swing over to Best Six Man.
I love Shea Ili, but I actually legitimately believe Xavier Cooks, being a starter and is able to guard anyone from, I'm not going to say 1, I'm going to say 2 to 5, and his ability to be lengthy, his versatility, and the fact that he's able to turn defence into offence so quickly by snapping it off the defensive glass and running that transition is the reason that I would give it to Xavier Cooks. But I love Shea Ili. What he does come off the bench is incredible, but I'll give it to Xavier Cooks.
Is that that's who you would give it to?
That's who I'd give it to.
Who do you think will win it?
I think Shea Ili will win it.
So that's where I went with these. I think Shea Ili will win it too. But again, either one of those three, they're all the three finalists for every award, completely deserving on their own any other season. Antonius Cleveland, none of us picked him. He well and truly, he wins it. You tip your hat and say well deserved.
100%.
I think you told me Shea Ili's had game-defining moments on the defensive end as of late. Done it all the time, but it's been more highlighted recently, and that's why I think he gets the nod.
Yeah. I think he's had a couple of those games, especially the one in Perth where he shut down a couple of games against Perth. One in Perth, one in Melbourne, and then a couple of other performances that I think just captured everybody's attention. They were big games where a lot of people around the league, the people who actually vote when push comes to shove, the coaches and the captains. And that's why I think, but I agree. That's my favourite award this year. The MVP race, yes, Cotton and Adams, but the best defensive player, all three of those guys, elite in what they do at the defensive end. And Xavier Rattan-Mays has really impressed me in the second half of the year.
Big time.
Has really got a hold of what his role is for that team and what Gorgon wants him to do off the bench. And I think he's been massive as well as Antonius Cleveland in turning this season around for the Hawks.
All right, and first and second All-NBL teams, let's have a little look.
Oh.
I assume we're all going to be the same. No. Someone's fit Vic Law into the first team. I was able to squeeze him into the second team. Who's got Mumford in there?
That was me. I thought Mumford had a terrific season still again, it was going to be down. Vic Law, that other spot is very interesting. It was just exactly...
Cam still doesn't understand how.
No, he just knows Mitch.
I just ignored it. I ignored it because I just don't like. I actually don't like it. I actually had the first team. I think was pretty tough. I would have squeezed Vic Law into the first team in front of Cleveland, but the rules don't allow me to do it. And when it got to the All-NBL second team, I said, "Stuff you, Guy Neville. I'm doing whatever I want."
You've been doing this the whole time. It is, and we always talk.
Well, this show changes awards. This show changes awards. Changed the Rookie of the Year. It changed the Sixth Man of the Year award a couple of years ago.
First off, Rookie of the Year, we'll try and change that.
We're going to work on
But
that.
it'll be changed next year.
Rising Star, something like that.
No, you just have to do it. First year professional, and you can't have played 10 games in the NBL prior to that year. So if you're a development player who gets a couple of games, you can still win Rookie of the Year. But if you play in more than 10 games, you are out, and imports can win it if they come straight out of college. I don't think it's that hard.
The problem
It is.
The problem with the all-league teams, though, Cam, is the people, the coaches, the captains, when they vote, they can't just stick
I
to it.
agree.
The guys are already in the category.
Can we put it back up for a split second?
So if it's...
We put it back up.
Who misses out of those three for you in the All-NBL second team, Cam?
Probably Yanni Wetzel.
No, I don't have him.
Who's had a great year, but I think Creek and Law have been better.
He well and truly deserves to be in there. You could...
And then I'll put Daly in
Well,
the
you haven't got him in.
I'll put Daly
I know. I completely...
So I'll change it in.
So
Unfortunately,
Daly goes in, does he?
Wetzel's out and put Daly in with Magenta Gold.
No Josh Adams.
You got no Josh Adams.
I think Daly has been incredibly underrated this year.
Golding and Daly, no Josh Adams.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, one team finished on top, one finished fourth.
I hear you.
As well.
I hear you.
So I like it. All thanks to JD. JD Sports. The undisputed king of trainers. Have a look at these. They are extremely nice. Do you know what they are, Pete Hawley?
Oh, I'm going to go... They're Bryce Cotton shoes.
Yeah, they are.
I'm going to go with Dame Lemons.
Yeah, there you go. You got it right.
I don't know how.
JD sneaker of
throw it
the
out
week.
there.
He's always bought the
You've done
feet
very well.
the superstar Bryce Cotton. And this week at JD Sports, the undisputed king of trainers, they're launching the women's Air Jordan 11 Low Pure Violet. I might take those. Now, these women's exclusive colourway gives a seasonally fresh spin to the low top of Jordan's most infamous signature shoe.
Seasonally fresh.
They launched this Thursday, only online via the JD AU app. Download the app today to make sure you do not miss out. I'm excited. Daisies, Game 1, Game 1, Game 2, Game 2, and if needed, Game 3, Game 3. We've got a big week. On that note, See you in Tassie. I can't.